Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got another interesting combination to try out with a shell that we haven't tested on the channel in probably over a year now, I think. But it's always been a very kind of on the fence shell where you either like it or you don't. So I don't know what we're going to see from it through this particular choke combination, but we'll see what happens. But as for those shells I brought out here today, I got out some of these, the Hevi-Shot Hevi-18 410 turkey loads. They're a 3-inch 13/16 ounce payload of TSS number 7 shot, moving about 1,090 feet per second. Now, Hevi-Shot loads in general, whether they're Hevi-Shot, TSS, bismuth, whatever the case is, have always been very hit or miss. Some of them can be good, others are very disappointing. From what I remember, these have the potential to pattern well. The problem is they're a 7 shot in a 410 shell, which gives you very little payload to work with, and it really does not look all that impressive down at 40 yards on the paper. So it's very much a give and take. Do you prefer the bigger pellet size that's going to give you more energy, or do you prefer a little more leeway in your patterns, having more pellets flying down range and stuff like that? So kind of a very on the fence shell here, but we'll see what it does through today's choke. But as for today's setup, I brought out my Mossberg 500 410. This one's got a 24-inch barrel on it, but for the choke, we've got a Jebs Extra full in here today. I believe these are supposed to measure out at roughly 385. This particular one is 384 constriction, so we will see how it actually works with these Hevi-18 number 7s. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. The turkey paper's at 40 yards, and I've got the chronograph so we can get our velocity. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see what kind of results we can get from these Hevi-18 7s down there at 40 through that Jebs Extra full. I don't think it's going to look very impressive on the paper, but is it actually going to give us a nice and tight pattern, or is it going to kind of be all over the place? I don't know yet, but let's take our shot and see what we get. Alright, that shell gave us 1127 through the chrono. The boss claim is 1,090, so we are just a little bit over that claim, but still low 1100s is perfectly fine for these shells. So what kind of a pattern did they give us down there at 40 yards? I don't know yet, but let's take a look and see what we got. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is quite honestly about what I expected to see here. It is very much on the fence, and I don't think there's going to be very many people in between here. I think it's either going to be you like this or you don't like this. Now, do we have a dead bird? Yes, we do. There's one right through the front of the eyeball, and a couple more down there at the bottom end of the spine. So, yeah, you would have absolutely gotten that turkey, and there's nowhere left or right on that paper that he can move to and get away from you. But the pellets that you see right there on the paper are pretty much all you get. And even for a 410 load, that looks like a handful of BBs that you just threw at a turkey paper. You just don't have a lot of pellet count with a number 7 and a 410. Now, outside of that turkey paper, we do have a number of little flyers and stragglers around the edges here. So I don't know, maybe that 384 Jebs Extra full was a little bit on the tight side for them. I don't know. But most of your load is right there on the turkey paper. We have a nice little hot spot right there in the middle of his neck, which is nice to see, but it definitely gets splotchy around the outside areas of his head there. There's a number of voids and stuff in there, but I don't know that it's straight up voids in the pattern. I think it's just simply a lack of pellet count to fill those in. That's why, in my opinion, anything larger than an 8 especially, but really anything larger than a 9 when it comes to 410 just isn't really ideal. Sure, that's absolutely a capable 40-yard turkey pattern, and looking at it in general, it's a very tight turkey pattern as well if we exclude those flyers around the edges. So it does not give you very much wiggle room to work with, but you also don't have any pellet count to give you any kind of leeway with it. So 7s in a 410 are kind of useless in my opinion. Now, some people are really going to like that pattern because they're not really fans of 9s or 9.5s or anything like that when it comes to turkey hunting, even though they're more than capable in a TSS load. And yeah, I know there at least were, I don't know about this year, but there were some states, like I believe New York was one of them, where you needed an 8 or larger in pellet size to turkey hunt, and that might be all you could get for an off-the-shelf load. So I don't know. Is that good? Is that terrible? Is it on the fence? It's really hard to get a good opinion about it because on one hand, it's a tight pattern. On the other hand, it doesn't give you very much to work with as well. So I don't know. Let me know your opinion about it. Is that a combination that is actually usable in your opinion? Clearly, it's good enough to do the job, but I don't know. It's just, with that kind of pellet count, it's just not very pretty looking on the paper, but it would perform for you. So I don't know on this one. I think I've already said my opinion about it, but I'll let you guys form yours because I think it's kind of going to go either way with this one. But that's about what I expected as far as these shells go anyway. And here's the wad from that shell. Very basic type of stuff here. There's no major damage, but the tail little piece here did kind of start to invert a little bit on itself. We've seen this before here recently a number of times, but it doesn't really seem to affect the pattern too much. But we do have a couple pellets stuck down in the bottom of that wad there, which isn't what you want to see in general. But with a 410 loaded with 7-shot, that very well could be the difference. That could be detrimental out there at 40 yards. So the wad looks very much normal for what these typically do, but I really don't like those few pellets stuck down in there, especially with this load. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that pattern right there? On one hand, that's a tight pattern. It doesn't give you a whole lot of leeway to work with at 40 yards, but you don't have pellet count either. And in at closer ranges, a TSS 7 is gonna be deadly without a doubt, but that would still be essentially like a softball at 20 yards, 25, 30 yards, whatever. You just don't have a ton to work with as far as leeway goes, no matter where you're at. If you get any more broad than that, you start picking up big voids in your pattern, and you could actually miss a bird even though your pattern is dead center where it should be. So a TSS 7 and a 410, very much on the fence overall. I would say it's clearly good enough, but I'm just personally not a huge fan of anything larger than 9-shot, especially when it comes to a 410 shell like that. I just think you need the pellet count more than anything else. So let me know all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Hevi-18 410 shells? And if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Is that a combination that you would ever use, or are you kind of in the same boat I am where that might almost be a little bit of a useless shell for you? And what other chokes might you want to see these shells run through? Let me know all that down below. At the end of the day, like I already mentioned in the beginning there, I think you're either going to really like that or really hate that shell or that performance there. I don't think there's going to be very many people in between. It's either something you're going to use or something you would never use. But for what they are, they seem to be a pretty tight patterning shell. So I don't know on this one. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.